Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to Alien Protocols. You know, when examining the UFO phenomena, it's very important to be pragmatic and realistic. And although there have been many different types of craft seen at different sizes, it's unquestionable that some of these are advanced black projects utilizing advanced propulsion and navigation systems, and some are not black projects. Some are most certainly created by an advanced civilization. These are just some of the modern UFOs seen, and these are ones that are obscure, rarely seen or talked about, and this particular class is usually 12 meters or less. But let's look at the United States and other countries' black projects. And what is the evidence that some of these craft are likely black projects? Now, we've learned from the Department of Defense and from the videos, the very famous videos that have been released, these craft, many of the ones from those incidents, have been flying in restricted areas. Isn't that interesting? That is kind of evidence that these craft could be U.S. black projects. Very secret, but in active production. On both the east and west coast, there are very specific areas that are very restricted for military training, and they're well cordoned off, and private craft are not allowed to enter. So what does flying in restricted areas tell us about whether they could be U.S. black projects or not? Well, first of all, I think it's because they've been flying in these areas that there's a hint in that they could be U.S. projects. And they're not just on the West Coast, they're also on the East Coast in these restricted areas. Now, why would they do that? Why would they not tell the military and endanger fighters, fighter pilots, like Fravor and others? And why would they do it in the first place, where others could see these secret craft? Well, these craft are so dynamic and so foreign to even aviators and the military's experience that if I was in charge of an incredible drone project with advanced propulsion and power systems, I would test how our military would react to their presence, and thereby have a hint of how a potential enemy would react. So that's one reason why they would be flying these craft in restricted areas and allow them to be seen. And it's also a little bit of a hint that, you hear the stories of fleets being seen again and again, day after day, and their commanders aren't ordering a specific and very intense interception of these craft. Their senior officers are very silent about it. The Nimitz group kept seeing them, and the commanders kind of were very silent about what they should do. Perhaps they knew something that the lower ranked officers didn't know. So they could be in these restricted areas to test the military response. Why else would they do it in these very specific areas close to the United States? Well, they don't want to be flying these craft in general areas that aren't within the United States purview, because if one of them crashed, another country could gain this technology and reverse engineer it like China has. So it's preventing the capture and reverse engineering of these craft by the enemy. So that is several reasons why a lot of these sightings could be ours. Let's look at the history. Does that tell us anything about whether these craft could be ours or not? Well, these craft have a tendency to fulfill our imagination. Remember, the last great reveal from the U.S. military and Air Force about secret technology was the stealth fighter. You see how badass the stealth fighter is, how futuristic looking it is? It flew and other craft thought they were UFOs. Other people in the military. And those were created 50 years ago. You can just imagine what has been uncovered. What new laws of science could be utilized in 50 years. These craft are truly extraordinary. What other reasons why this could be U.S. technology? Well, historically speaking, most UFO sightings started around the nuclear era. And craft like these would need incredible power sources in order to power anti-gravity. Of course, a more advanced civilization could do it with new and different power sources that wouldn't be as raw and potentially dangerous as nuclear propulsion systems. But this is right around the time after the nuclear bomb was dropped, after nuclear weapons were dropped, that nuclear propulsion systems began. And of course, they were used in aircraft carriers and submarines, but were strangely not seen in aircraft. Perhaps the nuclear age and our time in it, our place in nuclear knowledge, considering our technology, is a hint whether these could be ours or not. It's kind of funny that when UFOs first became a public issue, the U.S. denied their existence. Because if you're like me and you believe a lot of the research that has been done, the U.S. had reverse engineered some of these craft. And we're beginning to reverse engineer these craft. So they had to keep the reality a secret. And now, suddenly, they're acknowledging their existence. This hints to me that we have new technology that looks like UFOs, and it's a great cover to finally say, okay, there's UFOs out there. When the US admits about incredibly classified kind of things like this with incredible consequences for the military, there's a reason behind it. So for the military and the government to come out, and the Department of Defense to come out and say, yeah, it's possible there could be some UFOs out there. They're giving themselves cover again. So when they didn't quite have the technology, they denied the technology's existence. They denied UFOs' existence. And now that they have the technology, they're making us try to believe that they're UFOs and not, or aliens, and not really our technology. That whole little admission about the reality of UFOs being advanced technology hints a little bit that they could be ours. There's a lot of interesting reasons why these craft could be ours. And personally, I believe this topic, like phenomena, is very dynamic. There are craft that are really extraterrestrial. And then there's craft that look like they're extraterrestrial, but they're really ours. And from some very reliable information that I have, China, when you think about their history, they are reverse engineering geniuses and incredibly aggressive. I don't know if you've seen this new bomber they have, this stealth bomber, this incredible stealth drone they have. Some of their newest technology is absolutely extraordinary looking. And from some information I have, they have reverse engineered some of this stuff like the US has. And of course the US, China, and Russia steal from each other like crazy with espionage. So China is flying craft, not in our restricted areas, but they do have their own craft, unquestionably. And they took a very serious interest in UFOs, the advanced, super advanced kind. This circular type that's gray with the lines, it has this texturized kind of meshy appearance of a surface I've talked about in previous videos, and it's being seen time and time again at very low altitudes. And if you've seen a lot of my past videos, you understand what these craft are, how they operate, and why they're at this level. And we're going to be seeing more and more of these smaller craft at lower and lower altitudes. They're here, they're on the ground. They're very close to the ground. We can communicate.